Is it about, you've been here for a while now, number 16 in the country. How have you gotten to this point with this group and kind of building this program?
Well, one of the things I think that's been really neat, on this journey is I've always talked about how great the foundation was of this program and the people in the foundation and the support of our administration. Our fan base is growing. This year it's really going to grow. I just know that. But what I'm really probably the most proud of, and probably why we're attracting a pretty high level of talent right now, is it's really player-led. I think our leadership of our young women have really stepped up. You've gotten to see them grow. You've gotten to see them blossom. You've gotten to see them obviously become better basketball players, but even more, they're really confident women stepping on the floor representing us. And I think those things make a difference, and other people want to be part of that.
Jennie, going off that, you finally had a full year with Reagan, a full season, 2 full off seasons. Maybe what did you learn about her last season that you didn't already know, and what do you expect from her in her second season?
Yeah. I think she's another player that's really, really special, obviously, very unique. And, we knew that people would game plan for her. We knew that we had an advantage in the paint in a lot of games. And at the same time, I think Reagan's humility has really separated her, and I think she's really found a balance in this offseason with humility and confidence. And I think you can be extremely humble and yet really have an edge and be confident. And I think, she's a young person that's really had to kind of grow into her own. I feel like she's really worked really hard, and you can see a team. Her leadership's grown. Her mobility has gotten better. Just her presence when she steps on the floor every day. I mean, Reagan works. She works a lot. She does a lot where no one's watching. And I think that's even really started to elevate her game and even the level of the work of everybody else.
About attracting talent, how's Aaliyah been since arriving, and what have you learned about her that you didn't maybe already know through the recruiting process?
Yeah. You never know people till you're with them for a year, right? But these first few months has been really fun to get to know her. And, a lot more things make sense in the recruiting process than you look back when you start to know each other a little bit more. But I think what has really surprised me, things that you don't know, Aaliyah picks up on things really fast. And, there's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions on Aaliyah Chavez, and they're not always super positive opinions, but she's won over her team. And because she's an incredible person, and she loves to play the game. She works really hard. She's got great court vision. The speed of the game, she's going to catch up. She's not afraid to, throw a risky pass, which I love within reason. But I love her ability to fit in with the team, not be, she's not afraid to step up and say something. She can set people up. She's talking to each other, but she just has this really cool every day. She's got a smile on her face. She shows up to work every day, but she does it because she really loves her team. You don't really know that until you're really with people, but she's an everyday competitor, and she picks up on things really, really fast. And her teammates have even commented on that. She's got a different style of learning, and you can tell she's going to be she's already really good, but she's been great for this team.
Jennie, going off of that, the expectations are obviously so high for her. Mm-hmm. How have you seen her maybe, embrace those and just kind of carry those, and how excited are you to see how she handles that throughout an entire season?
Well, I think that's it. I think, I get you guys get a good front row seat to it, but I get an everyday seat to it, to be able to see that when she steps across the line, she just plays. I've seen people that really like the game and really love the game. She loves the game. She really every day it's a performance for her. And even on the not good days, if she doesn't shoot the ball well, or if she turned it over or something like that, she still finds a way to see really good things in other people. And so she's just excited to play. I'm excited to watch her. I'm excited to obviously coach her, but I'm really excited to see her navigate the challenges when it is live and when there are fans. And I've seen her perform, and I've seen her in games, you guys, where they're up 100 and she'll hit a half-court shot at the end of the third quarter, and she'll slide like she just won the national championship. That's the kind of joy I'm talking about. Like, she just loves the game. And I've seen her really struggle in games, and really have to get, want to get her teammates involved and have to take over. I've seen her hit big shots. I've seen her miss some shots, I'm excited to be able to see that at the next level. And for her, again, I talked about this with Reagan, she's so humble. Like, she really is. And our team, a lot of people asked us at SEC Media Day about her. And I passed the question a lot to Reagan and Peyton. And they both said, they're like, she's normal. And that's not what people want to hear. They want to create a villain or they want to create something, but she's just a normal person. So I'm excited to watch her go through kind of high pressure, hard challenges as a normal person, because that's how we would all kind of go through that.
Jennie, you talked last week in Birmingham about Peyton's leadership increasing even more this offseason. What does that look like practically, and how big has that been for this team?
Peyton's been unreal. Like, she really is. Now, I might not say it if she's sitting in here, so we don't have to print that. No, but honestly, and I've known Peyton for such a long time, and to see, she went to USA trials this summer, and I thought she did some really good things. That was the same trials I was at, and she didn't make the team. And I think she, she had a couple choices, and I think she came back and she said, okay, we're going to be better. And I'm going to be so much better for this team and with this team. Peyton is not afraid to put a team on her shoulders and go. She's not afraid to say hard things. She's not afraid to praise people. She doesn't have any. She wants other people to be really successful. She's not threatened by other people's success, which is really important for us in this team in this season. And she's kind of the mom of the team, like, she really is. And, sometimes when people say that, obviously I'm a mom and I tend to yell probably too much as a mom, but, a lot of times people say that and they think, oh, she's just the nice one. And she's not. She's the one that makes sure that you got your stuff together, And I think she's just really blossomed in this off season and in this year. And I tell you what, I want to go into every game with Peyton on my team.
Speaking of the USA teams, what was it like winning a gold medal with Reagan?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was, again, like, when you get to play for something bigger, we ask people all the time to play for something bigger, right? You want them to play for the front of your jersey, and, as coaches, we always do that. We always want to put that program first, but I don't know if I really understood what that meant until you got to play for your country, right? And so I think that was something that was so cool. It was neat to watch Reagan, because Reagan had moments where she struggled. She had moments that she was really, really good. She had high-level play. Those trials were amazing. And then she got to play with some of the best players in the country, and I got to see those guys on an everyday basis for a month. When you're together for that long and then you go to a foreign country, you really get to know each other. And it was such a cool experience to be able to see all of them. And especially the SEC was so well represented, to be able to see some of those talented players. It was just, it was really, really fun experience.
What did you learn from that, maybe as a coach, being around that staff and that process for that long?
Yeah, a couple things. I think Kara Lawson's really good. Obviously, she's going to be our next Olympic coach, and we have really unique and different styles. And so it was really good for me as an assistant coach to be able to kind of see what I think is important as an assistant, but also what somebody else does and how they run a program. And so I loved that. I loved the work that it took. Quite honestly, at that time in the year, we weren't talking a lot of basketball, because it was all portal, it was all rev share, it was all court cases, it was all fundraising, it was all trying to keep your team. It was just a really hard time, and we went there and you got to talk basketball. And then you get to talk basketball, these incredible players. It was so cool. And then we broke it up into positions. And so I had point guards. And so I had Michaela Blakes, who obviously we've tried to game plan, Olivia Miles, Hannah Hidalgo, and they're all so different, so powerful, so incredible. And so it was fun to coach them, knowing that we were going to have the next one in Aaliyah coming. And so that, to me, also taught me a lot, that everybody's different, everybody needs something different. But man, when you put them in positions, they can really shine.
Jennie, for you, obviously this roster, Aaliyah is going to get a lot of headlines, but 5 of 11 your players are freshmen. Even in our short time there, eyebrow-raising moments with Brooklyn and just from the other freshmen in this class.
Yeah.
What have you you've seen from them this summer, and obviously going to have kind of a chance to really cut out a role for themselves in this roster. What are you kind of seeing from the freshmen individually outside of Aaliyah?
Yeah, well, especially Brooklyn and Keziah. I think Brooklyn has just been, again, there's days where you kind of forget she's a freshman, and then there's days where you're like, oh yeah, she is a freshman. But I mean, she chest bumped me for God's sakes yesterday in practice. I was like, that's the first time I've had that happen from a freshman. She was like, well, no one else was around me. And I'm like, so okay, that's where we're at. But she's, her energy is really good. Her leadership, her communication. You don't get to see freshmen that talk the way that she does. That's been really good. Keziah Lofton has really surprised me, actually, in a really positive way. Not that I didn't have high expectation for her, but she plays hard. Like, she plays really, really hard and is so incredibly coachable. She will make mistakes and keep going, and that is something that's very rare for freshmen. And so I have been just really, really impressed. In fact, I think they've joked that she's actually my favorite on the team. No one's my favorite, as we all know, but if I did have one, she might be up there.
Jenny, you talked about a lot late last year about Sahara and the steps that she made along that season. What's sort of the next turn for her, and how different of a player is she now than she was?
God, she's gotten better. I mean, she just has gotten so much better. I said this, obviously, just kind of reiterating what you said last year. I don't know if I've ever seen a player grow so much from their freshman year to their sophomore year. But again, everyday competitor. Every day she shows up and she gives 100% every single day. Almost to the point where sometimes I have to say, okay, now just 75 right now. We're walking through something, right? Like, don't knock the practice guys over. But she does it with a smile on her face. She does it with grit and determination. Her leadership has really stepped up. Obviously, her 3-on-3 USA experience was huge. I mean, she played in the World Cup, you guys. I mean, that's a big deal. And they did some really good things, and then they didn't. And so she had to manage a lot of that. But, I mean, she went all over the world to play. And it was fun to be able to watch that, too, because her role on that team was very defensive and very vocal. Like, she had to be a vocal leader, and it was fun to be able to watch her do that. So defensively, especially, she has set the tone for us. She had to guard guards, she's had to guard posts, but she's setting just an everyday competitiveness for us.
Coach, like always, the SEC is loaded. How important do you think it is to establish a true home court advantage here at the LNC?
Yeah, I mean, our environment's going to be huge. I think that was one thing that was, a year ago, we talked about this a little bit at the SEC Media Day, that people kept asking, what's the difference between the Big 12 and the SEC? I'm like, I don't know, ask me in February, which thank God I didn't say January, right? Because we were so bad in January. But the environments are different. It's just different. It's different when you're going and, you're on SportsCenter college game day at LSU, or you go to South Carolina and you look around and you're like, oh no, every one of those 18,000 seats is full. It's not just, they just say it because they sold the tickets. There's butts and seats. And it's an environment. And the fans in the SEC, and I'm not saying that the fans in the Big 12 are not, this is not a comparison, but the fans in the SEC, they know and love our sport. And so they show up for it. And so if we want to do something really special here, we have to be able to continue to elevate women's basketball just like the rest of the country is. And I promise you, I've said this 1,000 times since people have been here, if you come once, you're going to come twice. And this team, you're not going to want to come twice, you're going to want to get season tickets. I really do think that. This team is a really special team that is normal. They're like us. They're like all of us. They're very Oklahoma, right? They love and care about each other. They'll fall down, they'll get up, and then they'll do something really freaking cool. And so I'm excited about it, but let's not make any mistake. We got to fill this place for us to be as good as we want to be and can be.
Jenny, for you, obviously, this has kind of been the season in a lot of ways. I feel like the program's been building to the high rank, and obviously the talent both through the portal and through recruiting now. For you, being at that high rank, and you mentioned a couple of those teams you mentioned going to be here playing at home, South Carolina, LSU, Tennessee. Does that change the attitude of the team, or maybe the messaging from you and your staff in terms of now you guys have kind of established yourself as one of the projected top teams in this tough conference? Does that change the messaging or anything from any of the past seasons?
No, I don't really care what people think of us. I care what we think of us when we step on the floor and we perform. And, you don't get to pick your ranking. You don't get to pick what other people think, because people are going to think really good things. People are going to think really bad things. And quite honestly, if we worry about that, we're going to be on a roller coaster that we don't get to control. And that's not what we want to do. We want to show up every day. That's what we have to be able to do, is show up every day. We have great non-conference schedule that has nothing to do with our conference, right? And then you prepare for a conference, and you don't get to pick who you play at home or who you play on the road. You have to show up every day, and you have to find different ways to be able to do it. I want us to create a home court advantage because it's fun, it's entertaining. This team is one that right now, if you struggle in the world of NILs and transfer portal and all that, you're going to watch a team grow. And you've seen these players play for a long time. And this is a team that you want to be able to come and you want to watch because they have fun playing. This is college athletics. We forget it. It's not pro. We're not. And I get that we need to treat some players in terms of we've got to be able to have competitive revenue shares, and we've got to be able to do all these things. And I totally understand that. And I think NIL's really helped our sport. I think some of our players have become household names. A lot of you are here because of household names of people that didn't even play at Oklahoma, right? But now you're going to get to watch some of those players that are playing at Oklahoma, and you're going to get to know them, and you get to see them, and you're part of it. So to me, fill the place because it's fun. Fill the place because you get to come here. And quite honestly, those first couple games, I was single-handedly calling people by name, telling them to stand up. Now I hope I don't know everybody yet, And so that to me is where we're going and why we're going, but it has nothing to do with what anyone else thinks of us, and it never will.
Jennie, talk about how important it is for someone like Aaliyah to have that veteran leadership of Peyton, Sahara, Reagan, and work for her to continually develop this season.
Well, I think that's a huge reason why Aaliyah chose to come here. Not just because of the leadership of the team, but I think we're close. We've gotten better. You can see it. We weren't that far from home. We have a style of play that really fits her. And so I think those are some reasons. And quite honestly, I think they're incredible leaders for her, and they're going to allow her, but they're also going to make her become a better leader. So they're also saying, no, you got to speak up. We don't care how old you are. And so it's not that, she doesn't have to do things because they're going to do it for her. They're actually good enough leaders that they're going to say, no, you got to do your job. Same as Zaya Van. We haven't talked about Zaya. Zaya has stepped up a lot in this offseason. Zaya's done some incredible things too. So the pressure is not just on those three to lead. They're great leaders, but they also know that if the ball's going to be in your hands, you better make sure we're all in the right spots. And you better be able to say that. And I think Aaliyah's really elevated because they're making her do that.
In terms of Zaya, how have you seen her maybe progress from this offseason going into this upcoming year?
Again, I think her confidence, I think her ability to see the game. Zaya has to do kind of similar to Skylar, and I don't want to have a lot of comparison between the two of them, but you'll understand where I'm coming from. Skylar was so good at being that sixth player. She'd come in and she'd just impact the game. And then, her fourth season, her first senior year, we tried to bring her off the bench in a game, and she played really well, and it was good for her, but it wasn't what the team needed. The team needed her to start. And there's a difference in starting and a difference in coming in and having to change the pace of a game. Zaya's going to go through that a little bit too, right? Because she was such a momentum shifter for us. She was fast. She'd come out. She'd just do some really incredible things. Well, now, when you're starting and you got Reagan Bears and you got Peyton Verholst and you got Sahara Williams, you're starting a little bit different. You got to manage that, and by the way, bring the energy. You got to set the tone defensively, even a little bit more than what maybe she had to a year ago. So she's going to learn some of those things, but I think she's just done a great job of wanting to learn and wanting to get better. And Zaya's another gym rat, though. She can shoot the ball and she can play, and she has great instincts.
In your first 3 years, you were knocked on the road to Sweet 16, and that was a driver. Now that you've been there, what kind of extra motivation for the big core you have returning has that been to go even farther? And is there, your path could run Norman, Fort Worth. Is that something that matters at all to this group?
Of course it matters, and I would be remiss to say that it didn't matter, but it's not something that we talk about. It's not something that we want to be better, and we don't like how we ended. And I think, you try to put a cap on that, but your journey still continues for a lot of us, right? So that's still part of your experience. And so we want to win every single game that we play. That's really what we talk about. And it's even more than wanting to win the game, it's how you do it. You know, you got to get better. And half our team are freshmen. So yes, we have great experience, but we also have freshmen, so we have to learn. So if we're living in March right now, we're going to have a really hard November. And so we just don't do that. We stay really present. That's the beautiful part of having 3 leaders that are really good, that are veteran leaders, that speak up, that talk, that take the brunt, that understand what it feels like to play in a February and a March. Peyton played in a Final Four her freshman year, and Reagan played in an Elite Eight. So I don't think there's a ceiling or a cap for this team. I think, and a lot of times it's a luck of the draw too at that time, right? And so women's athletics here, there's a standard. And let's not act like it's not a standard for our program too, even though we haven't been there.
You mentioned a bunch of freshmen too. We talked about 3. What takes you to Ireland and France, and how does that talent, identification, recruitment?
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of us are going international, and that was huge for us from a roster management standpoint as well. We didn't have the numbers. And like I said, it was a really hard spring. Now, I think we found 2 people that are absolutely incredible fits. I think they're very good in terms of cultural fits. I think they're very good in terms of basketball. Emma's kind of coming back right now. She had an injury with her national team in August, so she's been back a little bit. And we had some visa issues this summer, as most of places did. And, we didn't get them here until August, which normally we'd like them in June. So they're a little bit behind in terms of just having the summer like the rest of our players did. But yeah, it was more of a roster management, and we just got really lucky.
Jennie, you've sort of alluded to some of the challenges of modern college athletics. Talked a lot about leadership and experience today. Is it maybe validating to you at all that a lot of your core from last year decided to return, and is that validating for the culture and the program that you're building?
Well, I think that's probably been the question we've been asked. I mean, a lot of you have been in here asking those questions over the years about, our core players continuing to stay. And I think that's why I really credit the locker room. I credit the foundation of the program. I think this place is special. I think sometimes people forget how special Oklahoma is. And obviously, I'm biased toward our program because I get to live in it every day. But at the same time, like this place, we're at Oklahoma. And sometimes we forget what that means. And this program's just not going to ever forget that. And so I think, you want to have that love. You want to have that foundation of making sure that you really, you have the chemistry and you compete for and with one another. And at the end of the day, too, we got to understand that this brand's a pretty big brand, and we're representing a pretty unbelievable group of people. And so we don't take that for granted either. And I think that's why people keep coming back. And I think that's also why people that sometimes don't necessarily know if they want to come here, they come, they experience, and then they fall in love with it.
Jennie, along those lines of some of those things that you just talked about, and the program here as a whole, when you look at women's sports, period, how do you feel like, one, how difficult is it to maintain that across several sports, and how do you feel like the revenue sharing aspect of that has gone through this early period of it?
Well, I mean, it looks easy from Patty's seat, doesn't it? I mean, same as KJ Kindler. I sat next to her in a meeting yesterday. So to me, it seems easy for them. It doesn't seem so easy. We haven't gotten to where they're at. But, and I say that obviously very tongue-in-cheek because that's cannot be accurate. I mean, it's unbelievable what some of our programs have done and what they continue to do, and all they talk about is how it's harder to stay up there than it is to get up there. And I'll let you know hopefully someday what that means. But honestly, I think, again, the things that I'm most proud of at Oklahoma is our camaraderie and our wanting each other to be very, very successful. NIL provides more challenge than ever when it comes to revenue sharing, right? Because everybody wants their piece. They want more than what their competitors have, and that comes to, there's only 100%. So how do you break that down, right? Where it used to be the number could change and it could fluctuate. Now it doesn't do that as much, right? And so at the end of the day, we still have to check ourselves that we have to understand what's best for our university and where we need to go, right? That's hard. That's hard for me too. And, I want our women, I want us to be invested in more than anybody else, right? Because that's what you want to win. And that's how you feel right now that you're going to win. And I think we try to find creative ways. Obviously, Joe retiring was not something that we necessarily all planned. And, he's an incredible AD that has a lot of integrity. And so we're trying to manage these challenges while still having integrity and making sure that people are proud of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And by the way, we still have to win every game for us to be proud, right? So there's a lot of challenge in that. And I would be remiss to say it's not really freaking hard. It's hard. And at the same time, I still want everybody to do really well, and I want our team to be taken care of. So do I know what's going to happen in the future? I don't know. I really hope that they're going to invest in our program. We need that. We need that. We need that to be really successful. But I also think that's also important for us to continue to grow a fan base that people really want this program to be successful. And so when we have that, then those things tend to find you. And the more that you can find kind of outside, that's how your program's going to be the most successful. It's not just in the revenue sharing, it's all the other things. So we still need, if anybody has money, just donate it. That helps us. Or if you have any of those connections, please, I'll give you my cell phone number if you need it.
One more, guys.
Jennie mentioned, Joe retiring, and it seems like football's kind of become its own entity. How much of a voice should you have, should KJ, should Patty have when you're searching for another athletic director that will support, things other than football?
Yeah, and make no mistake, we want football to be great. Like we need that, and we want that, and we crave that. I don't know how much I think my voice should matter. I don't know. I've been asked a lot of questions, and I think a lot of people have been asked a lot of questions about what we want in the future. Whether or not it's legitimate, I don't know. But it feels like people are listening, and they're trying to put together something. And I will tell you this, I trust our president. I trust our decision makers. I think we've brought people in to really try to make a decision. This is not an easy decision. You look at a lot of different athletic programs are going a lot of different directions right now in terms of who they're hiring for their athletic directors and what that looks like. At the end of the day, I know no matter who we hire, it's going to be a person of integrity. I know it's going to be somebody that Oklahomans can be proud of, and I know it's somebody that's going to make the right decisions. Whether or not I agree with them, that's, that doesn't matter, but I know that we're going to hire the right person. And I was really lucky to be hired by Josie, and I know that too.